What if I told you that in a matter of minutes, entire coastlines vanished, entire families were wiped out, and entire nations were paralyzed in fear, not by war, not by plague, but by water? The earth shook, the ocean rose, and then it devoured everything. This is not a myth. This is not a legend. This is the terrifying true story of the deadliest tsunamis in human history, the ones that arrived without mercy and left nothing behind. Let's begin with two disasters that changed our world forever: the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami and the 2011 Japan earthquake and tsunami. The day the ocean went silent. Indian Ocean tsunami, 2004. It was the morning of December 26, 2004. A peaceful Sunday. Families were vacationing along the beaches of Thailand, Indonesia, India, and Sri Lanka. And then the ground moved. A massive 9.1-9.3 magnitude earthquake struck off the west coast of northern Sumatra. It lasted over 10 minutes, the third longest earthquake ever recorded. But the worst was yet to come. The seafloor lifted, displacing over 30 cubic kilometers of water. The energy released was equivalent to 23,000 Hiroshima bombs. What followed wasn't a wave. It was a wall of death, traveling at jet speed, up to 800 km/h. Indonesia was hit first. In Banda Aceh, entire neighborhoods were erased in seconds. The water tore through homes, mosques, schools, carrying buses, trees, and people in its path. Then came Thailand. Tourists on Phuket's sunny beaches saw the ocean pull back. Some walked toward it, not knowing the horror that was coming. When the wave came back, it came like a monster. CCTV footage, home videos, and survivor accounts paint a picture of hell. Bodies swept away, children screaming, buildings collapsing like sandcastles. Sri Lanka, India, and the Maldives soon followed. There was no warning system, no alarms, just silence. Then screams. In total, over 230,000 people died across 14 countries. Entire fishing villages disappeared. Thousands of children were orphaned. And what's worse? Many of the bodies were never found. Mass graves were dug. Families searched for weeks. Aid struggled to reach remote areas. Diseases began to spread. It was the deadliest tsunami in recorded history. But the Earth wasn't done yet. The triple disaster: Japan earthquake, tsunami, and Fukushima meltdown. 2011. Fast forward to March 11, 2011. Japan, a country built on discipline, disaster preparedness, and technology. But no one was ready for what came that afternoon. At 2:46 p.m. JST, a 9.1 magnitude megathrust earthquake struck off the coast of Tohoku. It was the strongest quake ever recorded in Japan, and one of the top 5 globally. Buildings in Tokyo, over 370 kilometers away, swayed like they were made of paper. But again, the quake was just the beginning. 6 minutes later, tsunami warnings blared. Waves as high as 40 meters, 130 feet, hit the coastal towns of Miyako, Sendai, and Rikuzentakata. In some areas, the water traveled 10 kilometers inland. Entire towns vanished. Elderly residents in care homes were swept away. Trains vanished off the tracks. Over 450,000 people were displaced. And then, Fukushima. The tsunami disabled the cooling systems of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. 3 nuclear reactors melted down. It became the worst nuclear disaster since Chernobyl. Radiation leaked into the air and sea. Towns were evacuated. Thousands still haven't returned. Japan's economy was shattered. Supply chains collapsed. Over 19,000 people lost their lives, and thousands more were injured or missing. The psychological toll? Even worse. Children drew pictures of black waves. Survivors still hear the sounds of rushing water in their dreams. And the sea? It hasn't returned all the bodies. Lessons carved in stone. These tsunamis weren't just disasters. They were warnings from the planet. In response to 2004, countries around the Indian Ocean installed early warning systems. But for many, it was already too late. Japan rebuilt, stronger, smarter. But the emotional scars run deep. Stories of survival emerged, like the school children who ran uphill because their teacher taught them to run when the water retreats, like the dog that barked until its owner fled, like the man who clung to a tree for 7 hours. These stories became symbols of human resilience. But the truth is haunting. The ocean gives. And sometimes, it takes back everything. If this chapter sent chills down your spine, wait until the next one. Because what happened in Chile and Russia made the ground shake longer and harder than any quake before it. Don't miss Chapter 2. And if you believe more people need to know these stories, like, comment, and subscribe to HistoryMind. This is not just history. This is the Earth's memory. Some earthquakes make the ground tremble. Others split it apart like cracked bone. In this chapter, we travel to the two ends of the world, Chile and Russia, to uncover the spine-chilling true stories of quakes so massive, they changed maps, moved cities, and left entire regions in shock. This isn't just science. This is raw terror, when the ground beneath your feet becomes your deadliest enemy. Let's begin. The Great Chilean Earthquake, 1960, the strongest ever recorded. On May 22, 1960, the Earth released a scream heard around the world. It started with a tremble near the town of Valdivia, Chile, but within seconds, it became a monster. A 9.5 magnitude earthquake, the strongest ever recorded in human history. It lasted 10 minutes, an eternity when buildings are falling, the ground is ripping open, and panic is everywhere. The land itself dropped by several meters in some areas. Rivers changed direction. Roads were twisted like noodles. 2 million people were affected. Nearly 1,600 died, and 3,000 were injured. Over 2 million lost their homes. But the horror didn't stop there. The quake triggered a tsunami that raced across the Pacific. Waves up to 25 meters hit the Chilean coast. Then it traveled 10,000 kilometers, hitting Hawaii, Japan, the Philippines, New Zealand, and even the U.S. West Coast. In Japan alone, 142 people died, and entire fishing villages were destroyed by a tsunami that began half a world away. Scientists believe the quake released energy equal to 20,000 atomic bombs. It changed the rotation of the Earth and shortened the day by 1.26 microseconds. This was not just an earthquake. It was the Earth throwing a tantrum of unimaginable scale, the Okhotsk Sea Quake, 2013, the deepest monster. Fast forward to May 24, 2013, deep beneath the Sea of Okhotsk, near Russia's eastern coast. The region is remote, icy, sparsely populated, but sitting on a hidden fault line. A magnitude 8.3 earthquake erupted at a depth of 609 kilometers, one of the deepest quakes ever recorded. Unlike surface quakes, deep quakes don't shatter cities, but they do shake entire continents. This one was felt across Moscow, Tokyo, Beijing, even as far as Alaska and California. Imagine standing in a skyscraper in Moscow, thousands of kilometers away, and suddenly your building sways. That's the power of this beast. Seismologists were stunned. Earthquakes that deep aren't supposed to be that powerful. But this one broke the rules of geology. No one died. But the quake exposed something terrifying. There are forces beneath us we still don't understand. Even in the depths where pressure is supposed to keep rock solid, the Earth cracked. It rattled planes in the sky. It disrupted power grids. And it left scientists speechless. A ghost quake. A whisper from the planet's molten heart. The lessons we forget. What do Chile and Russia teach us? That no matter how advanced we become, how tall our towers, how wide our bridges, we still build on borrowed time. The 1960 Chilean quake forced international cooperation. It led to better tsunami alert systems and changes in building codes worldwide. The Russian quake? It reminded us that deep beneath our feet, secrets are still stirring. The scariest thing isn't what we know. It's what we still don't. You've heard the stories of tsunamis and monster quakes, but nothing compares to what's coming in Chapter 3. Because next, we talk about the ones we're waiting for. The future earthquakes that scientists predict could wipe out entire cities, from Los Angeles to Istanbul. The clock is ticking, and we're not ready. Like, comment, and subscribe to HistoryMind, because the Earth remembers every crack, and it's not done shaking yet. What if I told you the deadliest earthquakes in history haven't happened yet? That beneath your city, your school, your home, the Earth is silently preparing to strike. And when it does, no technology, no army, no billion-dollar skyscraper will be able to stop it, because the future isn't quiet, it's trembling. In this final chapter, we'll explore the most dangerous fault lines on Earth, the predicted megaquakes, and why scientists are losing sleep over the next big one. This isn't science fiction. This is the future, and it's coming. The San Andreas Fault, California's time bomb. For decades, Californians have lived with a nervous smile. They know the name well, San Andreas Fault. It stretches 1,200 kilometers through California, from the Salton Sea in the south to Cape Mendocino in the north. It's where the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate grind past each other like rusted gears. The last time it snapped in a major way was in 1906, leveling San Francisco and killing over 3,000 people. Since then, only small tremors, minor warnings. But pressure is building, and scientists agree the big one is overdue. A magnitude 7.8 to 8.2 quake could strike at any time. It would last up to 2 minutes, trigger massive fires, collapse thousands of buildings, and cause economic losses exceeding $200 billion. Hospitals? Overwhelmed. Freeways? Broken. Power? Gone. Experts estimate over 1,800 deaths in Los Angeles alone. And unlike past quakes, this one will hit an urban jungle of 40 million people. The worst part? Most of them have no emergency plan. The Cascadia subduction zone, America's quiet killer. Forget San Andreas. There's a fault even more terrifying, and most Americans have never heard of it. The Cascadia subduction zone lies off the coast of Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. It's a mega thrust fault, the kind that triggers the biggest quakes and tsunamis. The last major quake here was in 1700. Yes, over 300 years ago. But geological records and Japanese tsunami reports confirm it was a monster. Scientists say we're due for a 9.0 plus magnitude quake. And when it hits, Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver will shake violently for up to 5 minutes. Then comes the tsunami. Waves over 100 feet tall will strike the Pacific Northwest coast within 15 minutes. There's no time to evacuate. Millions live in the impact zone. Estimates predict over 13,000 deaths, 27,000 injuries, and 1 million displaced people. And this isn't speculation. It's inevitability. The U.S. government has called Cascadia the most dangerous natural disaster in North America's future. But preparation? Still shamefully slow. Istanbul and the North Anatolian Fault. Half a world away, another giant waits. The North Anatolian Fault runs along northern Turkey, just 20 kilometers south of Istanbul, a city of 16 million people. This fault has a deadly habit. It releases quakes like a falling row of dominoes. Since 1939, earthquakes have marched westward across Turkey, one by one, always west. Istanbul? It's next in line. In 1999, the Izmit earthquake killed over 17,000 people. Scientists say Istanbul could soon face a 7.4 magnitude quake, likely within the next 20 years. Thousands of buildings are old and poorly reinforced. Rescue teams say the city would collapse in chaos. A quake here wouldn't just be regional. It would shake global markets, refugee routes, and geopolitics. And it's coming. Other sleeping beasts, Mexico City, built on an ancient lakebed, could amplify tremors from distant faults. Tehran, Iran sits atop multiple fault lines. A direct hit could cause hundreds of thousands of deaths. Kathmandu, Nepal, already suffered in 2015. But its proximity to the Himalayan frontal thrust makes it constantly vulnerable. Even New Delhi, Jakarta, and Wellington lie in dangerous zones. We're not talking about if, we're talking about when. And most cities are not ready. Earth's unfinished symphony. Here's the truth. Earth isn't trying to hurt us. It's alive, breathing, shifting. But we forget. We build cities on faults. We ignore the drills. We laugh at the warnings until the shaking starts. But every great quake teaches us something. Build better. Prepare smarter. Respect the planet. Some countries have learned. Japan now builds skyscrapers that sway like bamboo. Chile has some of the toughest quake codes on Earth, but much of the world? Still sleeping. And the Earth doesn't wait. In Chapter 1, we saw how tsunamis swallowed coastlines without warning. In Chapter 2, we watched as monster quakes split open the Earth. And now, in Chapter 3, we've looked into the future. A future full of cracks, silence, and ticking clocks. If this series shook you even for a second, share it. Tell someone. Let them know. Because knowledge saves lives. Like, comment, and subscribe to HistoryMind, where history shakes you to the core.